Okay, so another video tutorial. I'm gonna divide this tutorial in three, like kind of somehow related to cleaning your sheets a little bit, annotation concepts and detail elements within annotations. Okay, what if I go to the first sheet and I want to change things like the terrain, its color, mass inside, arrow. It's a little bit hidden, but that's the way to get to the side earth section cut material. So if you press that, you can change, you access actually the material browser, which is all the materials are here, and that's good. If you select the material within the browser, you get three different information elements regarding to the shading, the surface pattern, and the cut pattern. In this option, we want to change the cut pattern of the terrain, and it's set to solid fill. That's why it looks solid, and I want to set it to earth. And I want to set it to like a grayscale. So the moment you say OK, see how in the background it changed. There it is. And not only there, it has changed everywhere. So here's terrain. There you go. And in the other one, it's changed. Good. Another thing, like what about walls? This one is black. If double click, set this to fine. I guess somebody said when you're on coarse detailing, be black. We will see that as we go, but for now we want it to be clean like that, so deactivate. That's good. Another one is like that, those walls are great. So if I say fine, doesn't change, coarse doesn't change, so somebody has been dealing with the walls configuration in the VV, so it's visibility and graphics VV. You go to W walls, and yeah, somebody changed the pattern of the cut for the walls, and it has placed it gray. So I'm just going to say clear override. There we go. Deactivate. Now it changes again the VV visibility and graphics only to the view that you are in. So again, you have to change it here. VV. You go to walls, and you say clear overrides. Okay. Good. It's starting to be very clean and nice. So it makes me happy. So next, annotations. Well, annotations is this tab. This is all elements that regard to 2D components. In a way, whatever you do in a view, let's say you're in this view, like, or whatever view here, and you start annotating dimensions, for example. All these elements that you create here, such as that, such as text, we'll see these now. These are unique. To this view. So if you had to have this in different views, you're going to have to kind of replicate or duplicate or continue your process of annotating different views, because you won't be able to get them there unless you duplicate this one. It will be the same information. So I'm deleting that because for the purpose of this example, I'm going to do everything in the presentation mode. You can create text by pressing the A directly in the presentation sheet. That makes sense. No? Well, you can call this intermediate jam. Okay, and it's very big. We'll change that later. Or you can go into the view and do the same. Intermediate jam. But that will be within the view. No? I'm going to Control C that. Oops. Control Y. So get that. Now I'm going to do everything from the sheet, but some things I'm going to double click inside of the view, which I think it's a good practice to have. Some things you need to annotate in the sheet, some other things you need to annotate inside of the view. Okay, so text, so we created that, and we said, give me a line. Let me repeat that again. If you go to annotate text, you have the option of getting different leader lines, which is good. Whatever leader line you decide, your decision. Now be consequent with your decision, all the project. Okay, then from beginning to end, use the same leader, and this is the positioning of your leader. We'll see that. Now you can change that, and you can move. As you can see, you can also move the points as in what is referring to. you can change the text. If you select this, you're going to see that there's no other options to change, so you have to say edit type. We'll talk about that detail. You always have to duplicate and name it. Yeah. Say 1/8, okay, and now change the size. Say okay. See how it changed? Select that and make it even smaller there, and nice, move it. Now if you select that, now you have two types. That's why we had to duplicate it. You can go from one to the other, but the only way to have that option is by duplicating, huh? So you can change issues such as the color. If you go there and say edit type and you say text, I want it light gray because those texts don't want to interfere with the drawings or the protagonist here. So you do that. You change that for that specific type. You can copy this CO shortcut and you can put it here. Okay, or whatever you want it. I'm going to delete that because first I'm going to do some dimensioning here. Double click. I'm inside of the view to be able to refer to different things, and I'm going to start annotating here. Put it nice there, and another one, put it nice there. Okay, I'm also going to do here, snapping nicely to those axes, and I'm going to make sure it's well positioned here. Perfect. Now you always have to give yourself space between the geometry and the annotation. Okay, now probably the next dimension could be the level. So from level, level to level to level, level and level, and nice space between the previous dimensioning and this one. And now why not the overall from here to here? I don't know what I select, something went wrong there. Let's try again. And oh, I see what's happening. Well, I'm gonna put it there for now. What happens is that if I turn on my cropping view and select that, this outer region, remember that we have to span, so whatever text or annotation element can be positioned a little bit further out. Perfect. You can also select the numbers and move them if you want a bit, so they don't interfere. And here's the thing: level, select, and move them out. They're definitely not in the correct place, and this should be perfectly clear where they are. So the logic of dimensioning is always from the smaller scale of what you're dimensioning to the medium to the big, okay? And always respecting the geometry that is trying to dimension. Good. Right click, deactivate. It's obviously on top, to the left, move. This one we can move a little bit. And this one to snaps. Okay, good. So text, as we were doing already, without the same alignment, and I'm outside for a specific reason. You will see I can create this one here and call it something like aluminium frame, aluminium frame. Yep, and there you go. That's the big one, huh? Be careful with that. You have to make sure that you're working with the same option, and let's make it small. And here you can move up and down. You can actually even change this so it doesn't interfere with that one, and change that one so the lines don't cross each other with the numbers. Here's the thing: if you select it, you have an option of adding other leaders to the right or more to the left. You can create as many as you want and delete as well, no? And you can say, hey, the position I want it both in the same point, no? Good. So that's good. Now you can start copying CO and doing the same, or even MV to move it down, and snap this to the bottom. Snap this MV. There we go, and you can double click to say, well, this is 1 inch. Tinted, insulated glass. So I'm giving different examples. Obviously, this should be 1/8, so it's good. Let me see why it's not changing. Huh. it is changing, just seem different. And you can keep on annotating things in different levels, always not interfering with what you're trying to annotate. No, one, this could be the same, this could be a different one, and say, well, let me get this in the top. You can say, whoop, whoop, snap, snap. This could be like I don't know if I say intermediate jam or vertical. Let's say vertical aluminium. No, mullion. Good. No, that's not that one. So let's put it where it corresponds. So this starts getting more serious. No, you can start creating more dimensions in different ways. There you go. Try to get as close as possible. Get a general one again, same way. Whoops. There we go. You don't want that section to be there, so it's all a matter of pushing up and down things until you get them in the correct position and scale, etc. The same goes to the plan. You can start doing your work here as well, no? Etc. etc. This you can start moving around, put them in a different place. If this bothers your annotation, you can select, right click, hide element, etc. etc. No? So it becomes a powerful tool to use, obviously, and actually necessary, sense to start putting things together. No? Okay, deactivate, and I think we're getting there. In terms of all the ingredients, annotating and creating leaders and tags and putting things together. So the last very introduction mode is how do we get to the details of how do we put details into our let's say model geometry. So all these mullions are actually model geometry, but obviously we cannot get so far in detail just with a very simple, let's say, private pipe or square extrusion. No, this, for example, would be an unacceptable detail. We probably need to start putting more details on how the mullions are actually in created, how the connection of the mullions with the walls, etc. So for that, and just as a brief introduction, I will go to one of these, the curtain wall, level 2. There we go, detail 1, and start thinking of how can we work out this. So where it says detail is all these tools are very useful to use. So we have first detail lines that you can draw your own details as you wish. So let's say you want to create some kind of a covering here and leave it as you wish. You can select that one and say give me different types of lines, hidden lines, etc. You have regions. You can create like any kind of region and say also okay, and it creates a region for you. You can obviously change the region by going to the edit type and say, oh, I want any other region like the earth as we used before, or double cross, diagonal, and it changes. Now you say okay, and there you have it there. So regions are very powerful as well to use, but again, this because it's an annotation, it's all related to 2D. And the last element is component. Component allows you to load a family and be able to place under detail items things such as metal pieces. Like you can start selecting different pieces and different detail components and place them inside. No, as you can see, this is a 2D drawing again with a hatch included that's set by default. You have bricks, you have all kinds of elements that you can use for your advantage, and then it will be a matter of continuing annotation by saying tags, leader, and this is whatever. No? So this is how basically a very rough and fast introduction to details, but we will definitely see more of this as we go. Okay, so great.